And we are back on the chosen baseball journey. I'm your host, Jonathan A. Cohen. When I'm not doing podcasting, I'm writing books. That's my book behind me, The Bible 3.0, The Six Commandments of the Chosen Life. We talked about it last week that I'm sure Paul Skeens is following everything I'm talking about there. It's all lifestyle guidebook, how to get your body, mind, and soul well aligned in life systems. I'm a big believer in that. So you can find that on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes & Noble. Kareem, I've seen it in online at independent bookstores in the UK, Australia. It's pretty freaking wild. And my co-host, as always, is the one and only Kareem Garcia, Major League Baseball star, a man I love watching hitting home runs and taking out second basemen and catchers. How you doing, Dave? Kareem?
Oh, great, great. And I love it. Unfortunately, you cannot do that anymore in baseball. So I love the old days when you can actually make a little bit of contact with the other guys.
I can tell you when Buster Posey's walking his dog down the street and he sees Kareem, he moves to the other side and walk. He
You
doesn't take a
should.
chance. In today's episode, I want to talk about top teams and bottom teams for fun. And I want to kind of check in. I'll give you, I'll give the dealer choice today. Would you like to start at the top or start at the bottom?
Let's start on the top and, and work our way down. Which
Well,
division do you want to go for?
no, I want to do a little differently with the top teams. You're not going to get off that easily. So nice try, nice try. So
Hey,
I we're going to talk about the top. I'm throwing a curve at you. I'm throwing a splinker at you.
a splinter, a splinter.
A Paul Skeen splinker.
Yeah.
I want to look back and then we don't have to rewind the tapes. I think our memory is pretty good. When the season started, we were looking at you and I on who our prediction is, the teams that are going to be in the World Series and who's going to take it all. Would you like to start or should I start? Do you remember your predictions?
Yeah, Toronto. I say Toronto is going to be in the World Series.
And they're
They're
going to,
19 and 24 in the toughest division.
and who are they
When you
face?
have the Yankees, the Baltimore, the Tampa, Boston, and they're 19 and 24, and you're saying, oh, this is a wrap. No, not really. Three out of those five teams are going to make the playoffs. All right. And they're in the thick of things. They're only 3 games or 2.5 games behind the third place, which is Tampa. Tampa is over 500 by 2 games. So, hey, this is only the first quarter of the season. Let's talk about this and revisit this in August, and then we can tell me what's going on.
We're not done yet, crew. Nice try. But you had the Blue Jays and they were facing off against whom in the World Series?
Oh, what did I say? Cincinnati or Atlanta?
No, I believe you wouldn't take a position. I believe you said Braves or
Oh,
Dodgers.
Braves no, not the Dodgers. Dodgers are not going to make the World Series
Yeah. I think
by
you
by
said
any means.
I'm
Probably
pretty sure
Philadelphia or Atlanta. One of those two.
I'm pretty sure you went Atlanta. I can go back and rewind, but the prediction to win it all, who's winning the World Series this year was?
Toronto.
You said Toronto. You're very adamant about Toronto. Now, I went into another course. I came back and told you it's going to be the Phillies and Rangers. I was very adamant about that. I was
Mhm.
sure it was going to be the Phillies last year. I was very heartbroken. Craig Kimbrell, thank you very much. See, I have a good time in Baltimore, and you're doing that to them now. But with Craig Kimbrell out and not doing what he's doing, Alvardo should have been in there. Phillies are making the World Series. They're facing off against the defending champions because they're too stacked. The Rangers, all their pitchers are out pretty much. They will all get healthy to a certain degree. At least DeGrom should be back. Should be a lot of fun in my prediction, but I see the Phillies. They've been on the cusp. When you're on the cusp so long and you have such a stacked lineup, you have a strong bullpen. You could have 3, 4 guys that could be closers. You have Suarez and you have Nola and Wheeler. I see Phillies all the way, and the best team in baseball ahead of Atlanta in their division is the Phillies right now. So they're looking good. I told you all to put your money on the Phillies, but you know what the talk? So I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You are in Texas. Do you know what the talk, Kareem, is around Toronto these days for the Blue Jays?
What's up?
What are we gonna get for Vladdy at the trade deadline? And should we
Oh
trade him
yeah.
before the All Star game or not? All they want to talk about is it's time to blow it up. This is not working. This is the worst management ever. Schneider's gone. Mattingly's the next manager. We hate our Blue Jays. We hate the renovations. We hate how it looks behind home plate. Why didn't Otani come here? I'm wallowing. These people need the Bible 3.0. They need a lot of calmness in their mind. Blue Jay fans, please go to your nearest yoga studio, go to a meditation class or facility. You need it right now. Kareem, they have thrown in the towel in this city long ago. You go on Kijiji, you go on Facebook Marketplace. People, my watch collector website, people are begging people to take their Blue Jay tickets. Kareem, are Blue Jay fans overreacting or are they right?
To me, be honest, they have a really good young core on their hitters. Unfortunately, their pitching is not the greatest right now. There have been ups and downs with their pitchers. Noah throws one good game, one bad game. But like I say, they're 19 and 24 on the first quarter of the season. All right. Yeah, they're panicking because you're in the toughest division that is not only the American League, but the American and the National League. That's a good thing. They're not playing against the Dodgers or playing against, Arizona or playing San Diego, which those teams are also stuck, but they are playing against the Yankees, the Baltimore, the Tampa, Boston. But I mean, these guys get on a little winning streak like Washington did a few years back when they were pretty much throwing the towel to and end up winning the World Series. So don't give up yet. It's still too early. You still got a lot of games to play.
Reem, I love you, buddy. I love you like a brother. And I love a taste of that Kool-Aid because I need some hope here because I'm telling you, you know what the number, you know why this topic came to be. I'll tell you why it came to be, Kareem. And you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this one. I saw one statistic. I felt so sick to my stomach. I had to go kneel to the bathroom because I couldn't hold down my dinner. And it's what the Blue Jays slug with runners in scoring position. They are dead last in the majors. Last I looked, I believe they had a 289 slug with runners in scoring position. A slug.
Wow.
That
So they're
is
not even putting the ball in play, huh?
I've watched enough Jays games this year, and I put it now on mute. I can't even listen to it anymore. So I'm editing podcasts. I'm putting an agendas together, and I'm watching this. I don't care if it's the Twins. I don't care if it's the White Sox, the Rockies, the Padres, whoever they're facing. You got Kikuchi. You have Brios for the most part. The bullpen has been very suspect. Romano gets a save, but he's always given up a run. And you have this young core. Bichette is still sitting on the waiver wire on my fantasy, one of my teams. Nobody wants to pick him up. They don't even pick him up in fantasy baseball because the guy can't take a walk. The guy can't hit with runners in scoring position. Vlad has turned into a joke defensively. I don't know how the guy won a gold glove. It's like it's contagious. You take out Chapman and you take out some of the glue and you don't bring anybody in. You thought you're going to get Otani. And, you've been in those, help us. When you're in a major clubhouse and you have, let's say, a couple of real team leaders, when they get traded or they move on as free agents and you don't replace them with anybody, it's kind of deflating for the players, is it not?
It is. It is. Unfortunately, for teams like Toronto right now, like you're thinking, they're throwing the towel already. And early in the season, they're talking about trading Vladimir Guerrero, and it's been for a couple of weeks now that they've been talking about it. It's eventually going to happen unless these guys turn it around. Yes, it will happen before the All Star game, I think. Unfortunately, and Joey Boto probably not a good defensive, but probably is better than Vladdy playing first base over there, and put Vladdy as a DH because Vladdy, believe it or I mean, seeing it right now from last year, he looks a little heavier now than he was last year. So I don't know, it's a little thicker or not. Maybe it's the jersey, but it's not the same movements and he's not hitting for the same power. So I mean, who knows? He's hitting 275, something like that, I think.
I was reading an article in the offseason that there was a proposed trade that Jonathan India at the time, coming off a very poor season after his initial great rookie of the year campaign, and the Reds being so filled with middle infielders, which funny how that happens when you have a suspension and an injury, and then all of a sudden you're very thin. But there was a trade talks at Jonathan India. I'm going to move my problem for your problem from Manoa. And I said, there's no chance in heck that the Reds are going to do that. Now with what Manoa's been doing, who's also been very inconsistent in the minors, Kareem, man, like if the Jays move Manoa, let's say, you're getting literally pennies on the dollar. Like, what team in their right mind is giving a top prospect now for Manoa? This is a guy who was Cy Young contender not that long ago, but when the mechanics are so bad, you know, uh, you take Texas for example. Mike Maddox, I'm sure would love to work with him. Mike Maddox, if he can't fix him, nobody's going to fix him. I'm sure the Rangers would take him in a second, but what are you going to get? I think they're going to give you what? Maybe a hitter in double A that's hitting 270. You're not getting their number one draft pick. You're not even getting their second round pick at this point. It's got to be hard for a team. You go from 1 minute having such a good asset to one that you can barely give away. And even what are you going to sign him for a contract? When he comes time for free agency, if he doesn't get it together, I think the Manoa, I think this is his last season in Toronto. I think they're just going to take somebody else's headache and hope that they're going to get something with some upside, I guess. But it's hard for a team when you lose your ace and you get nothing back.
Yeah, but I think if they trade him, one team that actually can help him rebuild his career and has done it before is not only Mike Maddox, who's a great coach as pitching coach, but I think the Atlanta Braves have great coaches, especially in pitching. You see the Chris Sale right now, what he did before, and a couple other guys. They have a pitching philosophy for years. When they had the Maddox, they had the Glavines, they had the Smalls, they had the Averys, and they continue to work on through that same things, and they got great pitching right now. I'm not saying Atlanta is going to pick him up. I don't think Atlanta is going to pick him up by any means. But I'm saying if he can pick a team for next year, even just on invite to the major leagues, that would be a good team to work with.
I thought you were going to go in a totally different direction than that. I was sure you were going to say another team. I was positive. I'll tell you why it's not going to be Atlanta. There's no chance of
No,
Atlanta.
I know.
As
I told you it's not a chance.
And the reason why, because your old GM that left because he didn't have enough power, and he goes to the Dodgers as a VP and assistant GM, goes to Atlanta. All he does is win them a World Series. They're not handing Anthopoulos any presents. There's no chance in heck. Toronto cannot afford that PR. But where I do see, I think he'd be smart. I would ship him to the West Coast, get him completely away. So another division, another league, another stratosphere. The Giants. The Giants have this miracle thing with their ballpark, and look what Jordan Hicks is doing out there. That's where I would ship him to. I think that if anybody, if it's not gonna be Mike Maddox, I think he would love pitching in the West Coast, more chill vibe, and I think pitching in that ballpark. I think there's a psychology now. Kareem, help me because again, I've never played Major League Ball. I just do the analysis, but Toronto, known as a home run park, versus going to play in San Francisco, I think he'd love life in the pitcher's park there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not that easy to pitch in San Francisco. This pitching in Colorado or Baltimore. The ball carries a lot more on those two ballparks. Different divisions, of course, different, East Coast, West Coast, whatever you want to call it. But San Francisco is such a huge ballpark, and with great athletes that they have in the outfield, because those guys are athletes. By running those fly balls over there, you have a chance. And this guy is not a sinker baller that is going to get ground balls. This guy's going to get some fly balls, so it's going to give some chance for their teammates to do the job. And like you mentioned, Toronto, the ball carries very well, and if you open the dome in Toronto, well, good luck. So, I mean, it'd be great to see him change. I don't think they're going to trade him right now. I don't think anyone wants him right now. But, later on the season, if someone needs a fifth starter, a middle reliever, to fill up their position for playoff, it might go. Right now, I don't think even the Marlins want him to pitch for them.
But if I had to predict ultimately where Manoa's going to end up, you know where I would send him? I would send him to baseball purgatory, and that's called Colorado. Because in Colorado,
You want to retire
you,
him?
you know what? You're a great pitcher. You got a 5 ERA. You're the ace, And there's one team that won't notice because all their pitching pretty much is always lousy. It's Colorado. They always have too many first basemen that crank out 30 home runs in the minors. And you know what? Give me one of your power hitting first basemen in the minors. Give me any of them. As long as I know he's got 30 home runs on his resume, take Manoa, have fun with him. I think he's off to Colorado. And if not, my number two pick is the Giants. And so, on that note, sitting here, we're almost 20% done, going to 30% of the season, slowly, slowly. If we have to revisit now our World Series predictions, and you have to predict right now after what you've watched, who are your two teams in the World Series and who's winning the World Series now? Are you sticking with Toronto and Atlanta?
I'm gonna have to revisit my predictions. I wish the best to Toronto, but I'm saying Philadelphia. I like the Phillies for the National League and coming back to the World Series after almost 10 years, the New York Yankees. If they're healthy,
You think this is for real? You think that Rodon's gonna do it? You think that Cortez is gonna do it?
I don't like Rondon, but I don't like Rondon. I like Cortez the way that he pitches. And Rondon is I mean, is doing a little bit better than last year, but at the end of the day, by the deadline, they're gonna get another arm to their team. Who they're gonna give up? Whatever they need to give up. They don't probably care because they need to go to the World Series back again.
And Verdugo's been very happy batting cleanup a lot. The second they put him in the cleanup spot, I acquired him. I picked him up on waivers on my fantasy team, and I love Verdugo. I said from the beginning, you and I said this both. Verdugo, Yankees marriage made in heaven, and
Yeah.
let's sign Soto. Let's sign Verdugo. Let's keep them on the Yankees. I think it's been great. Great. Stanton has been doing the Stanton thing where you hit 270, you get the 30 plus home runs, and you get the 200 plus strikeouts. He's either literally having a strikeout or a home run. He's a new Pete Cavilla. That's fine. So you're going with Yankees and Phillies now, and who's winning the World Series?
Oh, Phillies.
I brought you over to the dark side. I love it.
Yes, you had to. I mean, I want to be honest. I mean, they got great pitching. They got good here. I mean, you win World Series, you win the games by pitching, and the World Series is such a short, 4 out of 7. You have to win 4 games out of 7 on a short series. I think the advantage is for the Phillies because the guys that you have with the Yankees, they have such a long swings that in a short series you can actually pitch to them.
Wheeler, Nola, Suarez. Good luck. Like they got three aces going, and they have about three or four closers going in their pen, and
Yeah.
they've got and the hitting. Everybody's hitting, and I said 5 years ago or so, I said when the careers are done, I think Harper's going to finish with better numbers than Trout. People told me I was insane. They still tell me on social media that I'm insane. People said Harper's the most selfish guy. He comes to Philadelphia, and all he is one of the best leaders in baseball. People love playing with him. He's the big, he's embraced himself. He did not want to leave. He doesn't have an opt out clause. He's loving life in Philadelphia. He's been the perfect fit for that city. I was just there for WrestleMania, and they loving their Bryce Harper. I gotta say, having him in your clubhouse, like I think the Yankees made a big mistake. I think that they didn't want to spend the money at the time. Now they can go back at it. Kareem, they would have signed Bryce, and he would have gone to the Yankees. I think they would have taken him in a second. Bryce Harper in that clubhouse, I think they would have been very happy with him.
Yeah, I mean, but he's happy where he is right now. Bryce Harper has embraced Philadelphia, and the fans has embraced him. As a player, as a guy. You see him every time he hits a home run. Goes to the fans and stuff like that. They love all that. They can love you, hate you. Philadelphia is one of the toughest cities for players to be. Why? Because it's like almost like New York. If you're doing good, they love you. Soon as you start hitting 150, they start throwing batteries at you, coins, whatever they can. Believe me, because I felt them before
You've had
when I was
batteries
playing
thrown at you?
and quarters when I was in Philadelphia. And all I did is just pick them up and say thank you, and I put it on my back pocket too, so they even hate me even more.
But when you walk through the streets of Philadelphia, you feel like you're in New York. The first time visiting the city, I felt like it was New York light. I felt that you know Toronto's one end, New York is the other. Philadelphia's kind of in the middle. It's more New Yorkish, but it's a more chill. Like when you walk the streets and everything, it's not so hectic. But when you go into those sports arenas, Phillies fans are passionate.
Yes, they are. They are really passionate about them, and they let you know it right away too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sticking. I'm sticking to my guns. Phillies Rangers. I know the Rangers are just a little over 500. The Phillies have the best record in baseball, and I'm going with them still. I should have bet money on them, but whatever. It's all good. So I want to go down to the basement now. Let's take like the elevator, and
Yep.
we're gonna hit P3. We're gonna go down to the lower of parking level. We're gonna go visit all the bottom dwellers right now. And at the time of taping now, it's been a couple weeks, but I don't think they're gonna move very much. But where do you think are they gonna stay in the basement? And is there any hope? Let's start off each one by one. White Sox, when they were 14 and 30. Any hope for the White Sox this year, or they're finishing well under 500?
No, they're finishing well under 500 for sure.
When you have no bullpen, Kopech, great arm, but he's not stabilized yet. When you have no hitting, pretty much, um, I agree. I think it's scary over there. They're definitely rebuilding. I would start whoever will, except for their starting pitcher Crochet, who the guy goes and gets two strikeouts every inning. I think everybody else is available. Any prospects you can pull out, more fire sales for them.
Yep.
The man on the shirt, the OG, Steve
Yeah.
Carsey, the bullpen coach with the Anaheim Angels, 16 and 28. Trout, I released him from my fantasy team for good reason. And I was offered Mike Trout originally for Strider. I had Strider from the Braves on my other
Mhm.
team. And I said, man, I should have taken Trout. I should have taken that deal because Strider's out for the year. Where's Trout? The
Done.
man has no luck. So they were going to finish well under 500 with Mike Trout. Mike Trout. Without Mike Trout, the Angels at 1628. It's going to be a long year, long year in Anaheim.
And you know what? The only thing they have is Oakland, but Oakland actually winning some games too. So it's gonna be difficult to see who finished last.
Oakland is
Hmm.
actually getting hitting. Oakland
Yes.
is actually getting some pitching going. Oakland has the best closer in baseball. Have you seen this Miller guy? Holy moly, this guy is good. So yeah, I don't see a world where
Sorry.
the Angels are going to finish above Oakland. And Oakland, they're so inspired because they know they're leaving. They know Las Vegas is coming, Sacramento. It's almost like it's inspiring them. They're like, we got nothing to lose. We none of us would have been up in the majors generally anyways. So let's just do this thing. I think it's been fun. So I wish I could go to Oakland and watch a game there with the five fans. I think it'd be neat.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, because you mentioned something very interesting is because they don't care. You know, they're playing such a relaxed game. That's why they're winning games. You know, their record 19 and 28 against the Houston Astros was 20 and 25. They're only a game and a half behind them. They
If
might catch up the Astros
the Astros
right
won,
now. So in a few weeks, we will see what happens, you know. But
you and I both know when the Astros get hot and everybody actually starts hitting and they get back a couple of their pitchers, the Astros are going to go on fire. They're going to get like a 15 game winning streak. There's no way. I'm not counting out the Astros. No chance. It's too early.
yeah, and like I said, you know, Seattle is not going to finish first. Right now, they're in first place. You know, Texas right behind them. But that division, the first four teams, including Oakland, they're only 6 games apart in the first quarter of the season. So it's still up for grabs. There's
And
still a lot of season left.
And I'm not, the Mariners are going to be in there. They have enough hitting, enough pitching, a closing. Munoz has been on fire for them as a closer. They're going to find a way. They got these nice vets, they got Garvey, Haniger. Mariners going to have a nice season. Jays at 1923. As you said, you got the Yankees, you got the Red Sox, you got the Orioles, you got the Rays. Who is finishing in last place this year in that division, Red Sox or Jays?
Um, if the Red Sox get some injured guys, probably the Red Sox. You know, I'm still hoping Toronto gets into a little hot streak over here and start winning some games. Win like 10 in a row, see what happens. You know, I mean, everything can happen. It's baseball. Never can amount.
I wish Olivia Dunn would watch this podcast and say, I know Paul Skeens is a great boyfriend, but chosen lawyer, you seem to have the it factor, but it's probably not happening, Kareem. It's
Yep.
probably not happening. So,
Yeah.
Jays, I don't know if they're gonna, I don't think they're gonna have that fire sale, but I think though, I think they will get a winning streak going. I mean, look, if the Rockies can get a 7 game winning streak going, anybody can, let's be honest. But the problem is, I think the worst situation to be in is to be that 500 team. Either be the worst of the worst or contend. But to be a 500 team where you have no chance at the playoffs and you have no chance at the top pick, I think that's the worst place. And I think the Jays are going to live in 500 city, personally.
Mhm. Yeah,
Now,
I agree. Let's
now,
go.
we're getting to the garbage of the garbage. Okay. And I don't understand this. Kareem, I don't understand. The city of Miami, everybody wants to party there. Everybody wants to live there. It is so great. Miami Heat, always attract top talent. The Dolphins, always in contention. People love it there. What is with this garbage Marlins when you're sitting at the beginning, as of the beginning of May, already 18 games back from the leader of the division when you have the Phillies and Braves? 13 and 32. They couldn't keep their GM. Kim Ing left. Jeter left, saying, "You know what? I'm not dealing with this freaking dog and pony show here." Is it the Expos curse, from the ownership? They handed it to Loria. They keep finding these owners that don't want to spend. Why why do people not want to watch baseball in Miami? Why can't they spend money? Why can't they contend? Kareem, help the Marlins, please. They call you up, Kareem Garcia. We know you know this. Help us. Why are we so bad? What's going on?
Oh, first, I fire every single one of them over there to begin with, and restart and start bringing back guys. Some veteran guys, some veteran pitchers, stuff like that. Because I mean, 14 and like you say, 14 and 32, 13 and 32, whatever it is, 18 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies is. I mean, it's just a AAA team playing in the major leagues right now. And nobody wants to go see them play or getting their butts kicked over there, unless it's a top team like the Dodgers or one of those guys that are in first place that you want to go see, Otani or a Judge or the hitters, or teams that are in first place to go see their players. But you don't want to go see a team that's below 500 by a lot.
Kareem, are you sitting down? Are you ready?
Yeah.
They might finish 75 games back.
Wow.
They're
I'm
on
your
pa-
first.
they're on pace to finish 75 games back. Um, Why is Luis Ariz not a Marlin? This guy was flirting with 400 all year last year. He was the glue. He was the igniter. What kind of message are you sending your fan base when the season just barely started and you already traded your top player? I think that is effing pathetic. I think that if I'm a Marlins fan, what hope do I possibly have at this point?
None, because if you trade your leadoff hitter, which is your best player on the team, just won a batting title for two different teams in two different,
Leagues.
American and National League. You just say, I give up. They already give up. They already throw the towel. So, this just close the season. Give me the top draft of next year because we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's really not too much to talk about the Marlins because there's nothing to talk about them,
How's Pablo
unfortunately.
how's Pablo Lopez doing, by the way? Wouldn't they like to have him back?
Yeah. They would
What
like to have a lot of guys back, but unfortunately, they don't want to pay. And if you don't want to pay, then that's what you get right there. You get a AAA team playing the major leagues.
everything in life. Let's take Marlins as a life lesson, folks. Everything is top bottom. If you have strong leadership at the top, it trickles down. When you have jokes for owners and jokes for leaders and jokes for managers, and it's just not coming together. When your manager didn't want to stay, your GM doesn't want to stay. When the owner, the part owner, Jeter didn't want to stay, I feel like the Marlins are Titanic, and you got a new stadium. It's beautiful. You still found a way to screw it up. I would start like this. You need to get in strong ownership. You need to get a Cohen, like the Mets got. You need to get somebody in there that wants to spend the dollars, is passionate about the sport. You get an owner with deep pockets that actually wants to spend the money. Then you start bringing in top. Then you're sucking like this. You get top draft picks. You get the holidays. You get the Skeens of this world. Then you start attracting free agents because it's Miami, and now we turn them into a Miami Heat. So I would come to the Miami Heat, and I would say, owner Miami Heat, can you please buy us? And Mr. Riley, can you please help us in our search for a president for a you know what? Why don't you be our president? Bring in Pat Riley. You've done such a great job as the president. Why don't you be the president of the Marlins too while you're at it? And you get top ownership and top management. That's the only hope. Otherwise, I hate to say this, and now I'm starting to get shivers down my spine, but I've seen what happened with the Marlins. If the team in Oakland and their ownership continues this in Vegas in this manner, the stadium in Vegas in 5 years after they open is going to turn into another Marlins situation. You have to spend the money. You have to bring incredible managers and GMs. Otherwise, it ain't going to fly. It just
Yeah.
ain't.
It's not. I mean, like you say, if you put the Pat Riley going to baseball, it's like Magic Johnson when you bring him from the Lakers to the Dodgers. He can probably actually do both at the same time and put a great team in there. But like you mentioned, you have to spend the money. And for them, for the Marlins to spend the money, you're not talking about a couple $100 million. You're talking about $1 billion rebuild for the team as a players to actually be in contention, not even winning, being in contention.
And look at the teams. Look at for example, Baltimore versus Toronto. Baltimore gets some injuries. Okay, we got a bunch of 30 home run guys in the minors. Let's just plug them in. Toronto, bare cupboards. And a lot of teams, you either have very strong minors and strong major league team, or you have a strong major league team and a strong minors. When you have the Braves, you have the Baltimore, and they have built a strong foundation. It's built on a nucleus of guys you drafted, smart trades, free agents, but you keep restocking the farm system. It's seamless. So speaking of a team that moving on from the Marlins, because I think we're both very passionate about that, breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, St. Louis Cardinals, because Cardinals, there was the Cardinal way, and the Cardinals were so strong for so long, and they always seem to be, but it feels like, Kareem, they left it 1 year too late instead of changing it 1 year too early. And the second Molina left, once Molina left, Yadier left, Pujols left, not the same team anymore. It's a different vibe. Everybody's gotten older. They haven't replenished enough. I feel bad for the fans because it's a beautiful stadium and beautiful fans and great history, and they're gonna have a little bit of growing pains. Looks like, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Like you mentioned, the fans are great. One of the cities that actually have fun going over there as against the St. Louis Cardinals. When I play for the other teams, I love St. Louis City. And everything that brings. But like you mentioned, Jadi going over there, being the head, the captain of the team, and having everybody together, pitching wise, and keeping the clubhouse in order. And I'm not saying the clubhouse is not in order right now, but it's a lot of guys probably trying to be the top guy right now, and I mean it's a little confusion over there. But I mean, St. Louis will spend some money. They will make some trades. And I'm thinking they might trade Arenado. I've been hearing that for a little bit now.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
and they saying Dodgers. So now Dodgers put him on third base. Where is going to go Muncy? You know. I mean, they will work it out somehow if he goes there.
I can tell you where he's going. Would you like to know?
Sure.
You want to do the cucaracha, or you want to do some celebration?
All right. Go ahead.
How would you like Arenado in the middle of the Yankees lineup?
Oh, that'd
Right?
be unbelievable
Think about
with that
gold.
with that stadium and those guys right there.
Yep. And you know what? Rizzo started hitting, but if Rizzo wasn't hitting, I would have said Goldschmidt would look very good there also. So I would not be shocked if one of Goldschmidt, but more than likely Arenado goes to pinstripes because you're so far in now. You have the lockdown closer, you have the superstar Soto, you have the supporting pieces. You plug in one or two more pitchers and you bring in Arenado, your Yankees World Series dream is looking a lot better.
Yes, but you know what? I will hope to get one more starter instead of another hitter, to tell you the truth. But if
Yeah.
you get both, that'd be great. But like I say, St. Louis this year, unfortunately, they go nowhere, and they're gonna start be looking for the young guys calling them up after the All-Star game to give some at bats over to those guys to see what they have. Is the right move to see if they really can belong over there or they need more seasoning in the minor leagues.
But what do you do when your top prospect, the guy who can't miss, the guy who's supposed to be your next Juan Soto, Jordan Walker, falls flat on his face, comes back. He's back in the minors now, falls flat on his face again, not hitting in the minors. They got a giant problem there because that's the guy they were building around. So when you have your can miss prospect, and you can't have five of these kind of guys, most teams are lucky to have one of these guys. People are starting to compare him to Griffey. Oh, this is scary stuff. So I hope he turns it around. Otherwise, you know what? I got it. I got it. You ready? Jordan Walker for Alek Manoah.
Oh,
And the Jays have to throw in obviously a couple more things, but St.
yeah.
Louis, he could turn it around there. They need pitching. Jordan Walker, they need hitting. Jordan Walker, Alek Manoah, my headache for your headache. Let's do it. Let's go.
You should be a GM, huh?
All
You
right.
should go with it.
Let's see. You know what? Gordash started off in the mailroom for the Blue Jays, and Alex Anthopoulos started in the mailroom for the Expos back in the day. Um, you know, there's a much better chance of you becoming a team president one day than me even being a scout. So probably not going to happen for me at this stage. But I'm happy to contribute to the game wherever I do. But if that trade does happen, I'm sure people will be calling me and saying, "What should we do next?" So we'll see. The last
Yeah.
team, which lives in the basement, will continue to live in the basement, and they can win all the 7 games that they want. The Colorado Rockies, because the Diamondbacks are going to put it together. The Giants are still going to contend. They always have pitching. The Padres are still freaking amazing. I'm not buying this with the Rockies whatsoever. I don't. They have a bunch of hardworking guys. I don't see a lot of talent on there. Their pitching is always going to be scary. Where are you seeing the Rockies?
Where they are in the last place, like they always have. Unfortunately for them on the ballpark, they're pitching. You need to get sinker bowlers, no fly ball pitchers. For fly ball pitchers over there, they're gonna give up too many home runs. You need a lot of guys that induce the hitters to ground balls to get the double plays. Unfortunately, they're not happening right now, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. That division is only one team that is over 500. The rest of the division is below 500, and it's kind of weird because I mean they're strong teams. You're talking about San Diego, Arizona, and San Francisco. Their teams that always contend. I mean, Arizona last year was in the World Series. You know, San Diego had a great team. Still have a great team without Soto, but and these teams are below 500 right now, which is kind of that to me would have been the division for the National League Central, not the National League West. Where the Cubs, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Cincinnati. I would think those guys would have been, the below 500, all 3 out of 5 at least,
But
not
you're
the National
face,
League West.
but when you're facing the Dodgers, when the Dodgers are lurking all the time, there's no hope again that division. You can only hope for the wild card at this point.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you face each one of these teams on your division, you face them 19 times out of the year on each team. That's what it is. You face them 19 times. You see them enough times that you have to learn something from, what they're doing against you, that you pick up and say, okay, we're going to pitch you different. We're going to hit different. I mean, it's not like you see them one time and you don't see them again until next year. So, I mean, something got to change.
Dodgers, I agree with you, are not winning the World Series. They're not going to make the World Series. I don't even know if they're going to get out of the first round. They don't have enough pitching. I don't like the situation. Too many pitchers again injured. They didn't have a lot of depth. I don't love the depth players even. They really, they have their top 3 hitters, yes. Teoscar Hernandez, I picked him up early in one of my fantasy leagues. He's been great. But Teoscar Hernandez is Teoscar Hernandez. 270 hitter. He's going to have 35 home runs. He's going to have 200 plus strikeouts. And that's your number 4, number 5 guy. Will Smith's been great as a catcher, but it's just not well rounded enough for me. Just guy Muncy got injured. You're relying on Jason Hayward. He's about 60 years old now, so it's tough. Like top to bottom, well rounded. The Phillies have a much better team than the Dodgers. It's not even close. Even the Rangers, when they have everybody going, when you look at their lineup. I'm more scared about the Rangers lineup if everybody's healthy 1 through 9. Because you look at Texas, Carter Langford, those were can't miss prospects. They've hit bumps in the road, but you all of a sudden take two rookies and they can all of a sudden start hitting out of their minds and hitting 400 and hitting a bunch of home runs in September. Watch out. Not everybody has that luxury of having those kind of prospects. So as we're finishing off today's episode, we keep talking about the Yankees for some reason. So I'm going to ask you two point blank questions prediction wise because it's really bugging me. Number one, is Verdugo going to resign with the Yankees?
I hope so. I mean, if they give him a extension or a contract, yes, he will sign back right away. The thing is, for the Yankees, it's difficult because the type of player Verdugo is, which is a great player, you can find a couple other guys doing the same thing for a lot cheaper, you know. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, Yankees, you never know because they're always looking for the top star, you know, spend the money, put him in the middle of the lineup and stuff like that. Verdugo is now going to hit 30 bombs. He's going to hit 20. Hopefully he hits 20, but I mean, they're looking for 30 to 40 home runs, put him with between Soto and Giancarlo and Judge and all those guys, you know?
But is your prediction, if you were betting for next season, is he going to be wearing pinstripes or is he gone?
Um, I think he's wearing pinstripes again.
I think so too. I only way I could see, I think based on his character, I would guess that if somebody blows the contract out of the water, like he's making double than what he's making on the Yankees, he's going where that money is. If it's very close in dollars, I think he's very comfortable over there. Juan Soto. Any chance he signs an extension before free agency?
He's great agent, like you mentioned before, doesn't like to sign contracts during the season. He loves to wait for free agency. So I don't see Juan Soto signing a contract anytime soon until he's a free agent.
And where is he going to sign in the free? Is he signing with the Yankees?
I think the Yankees are going to give him a strong contract for him not to refuse. It's not going to be the $600 million that his agent might ask for, but I mean, he's going to be close to the 500, I think.
Juan Soto, if you're watching right now, I want you to listen very carefully. You've played in Washington. You played in San Diego. Now you're playing in the biggest market with the biggest team on the planet ever. Look at how you're hitting. Look at how they take care. You've seen the facilities. You've got an idea of spring training, how it is. It's a different ball game of how they take care of their players. Sign the contract. You could pull a hamstring tomorrow. You could get injured. Take the money. Take the 500 million right now. But if you have to wait the free agency, sign with the Yankees. You want a legacy. You want to be the guy, the 400 OBP guy, and you want to be loved in baseball and you want a Hall of Fame legacy, you want to do it in pinstripes, play with Aaron Judge, sign that contract, stay with the Yankees, my advice. And it'll be interesting because I hope it's not going to be a distraction. And the Yankees, for some reason, have this policy. They don't really like to sign players for extensions during the season. But I think every day that goes by, I think that the price is going up and up and up on Soto.
Yes. And, you know, Steinbrenner actually mentioned that he's willing to negotiate during the season with his agent if they're willing to listen. So to say, hey, you know, the phone number from my agent, call them, we're ready. But is he going to pick up the phone? That's the problem.
There are a lot of teams that are watching the Yankees and say to themselves, I could have acquired Verdugo. I could have acquired Soto. I think I missed the boat. Having those pieces in your lineup, big difference maker. And look, Verdugo's been batting fourth a lot. That says in that lineup, in a championship caliber team, Verdugo's your cleanup hitter. He's the igniter. He's revamped himself. I mean, he's walking almost as much as he's striking out. Verdugo is a guy who was known not to take a lot of walks, strike out quite a bit. Kareem, the strikeouts are down, the walks are up. This is good signs for Verdugo. I'm very happy with him that he's made those adjustments.
Yes, he's watching Juan Soto. Juan Soto is a very patient guy. You know, he walks a lot. He doesn't swing at the first pitch like Bobby Shea does. So, you know, patience is contagious. And Verdugo is watching another left-handed hitter. So he's watching what he's doing, imitate him, you know. So I love the way his approach is going right now. You know, like you mentioned, you know, getting more walks than strikeouts. It's always going to help you.
And not only is Soto walk a lot, he doesn't even really strike out. Like we're looking at like Tony Gwynn type modern day hitter. Like Gwynn never struck out. Gwynn wasn't a big walker, but you don't need to walk a lot when you're hitting 370 every single year. And when you are hitting in the 300s and you're walking 200 times a year, plus, you don't strike out a lot. This is why Juan Soto is so special. This is why in his mid 20s, we know if he stays on this trajectory, he's going to the Hall of Fame guaranteed. So pretty special thing. And I was pretty it was eye-opening for me to see Verdugo that he's a guy I thought maybe was a little more stubborn, wouldn't adjust his ways. And yeah, he's walking, he's got a little more pop. And I said, we don't need Verdugo to go and hit 30 home runs. He gets doubles every single game. That's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm. He's going to be scoring runs no matter what.
Stay tuned next week. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey. We're going to be talking about relievers turn starters and if this is the new trend. So we always find something different in our
Yeah.
kitchen. So that's Kareem Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen. We'll see y'all back next week.